Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back for the day 3 update. Unfortunately, I couldn't record this yesterday, but here I am, first thing in the morning, recording the update for you. So, day 3 has been really fun for me. The build has gotten monstrously strong at this point. I've made a lot of really cool upgrades to it. At this point, I'm already clearing wave 15 without any kind of issues. I'm actually running simulacrums at quite a decent pace. I can also run tier 17 maps at this moment, so the build has gotten really fun. I will cover absolutely all the updates that I've made to the build, so stay tuned. Alright, so before we get into the juicy upgrade section, I'm going to quickly go over my Atlas tree because there have been a lot of requests from you guys to share the tree and the strategy that I'm using. So this is the Atlas tree that I'm using. It's not something I necessarily recommend that you use because it can get quite rippy, but it's something that I like to run, especially on League Start. I've been running this since day one with some minor adjustments. I was actually using the Kirak nodes at first. So, yeah, this can get quite rippy, like I said, especially on lower gear when you're starting, so take that into consideration. So this tree focuses around Delirium, mainly Delirium splinters. It also has some boss map drops because at some point you want to run Guardian and Conqueror maps exclusively because those yield the best results. I also have some alphas. This is so that I can get some temples for later to corrupt some of my items, but also to make sure that I always hit the wave 7 on Delirium by the time I get to the bosses. Now, as you can imagine, with destructive play, if you have like 4 Delirium buffed bosses at the end of a Conqueror or a Guardian map, it's going to be at ugly pretty fast, so that's one of the reasons why it's so rippy. But I don't mind it. I really love this Atlas tree, and it's what I'm using. And I also don't mind if I get the occasional one shot by a really buffed boss. It's not really an issue for me. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the tree. In terms of scarabs, mainly you want to use the scarab that gives you +2 rewards. If possible, you can use like 4 or 5 of those, but unfortunately this league there have been some popular strategies in that side, so that scarab has gotten pretty expensive. I think it was around 5 chaos per each, and it might not be worth it at that point. But you can just use any scarab that buffs like pack size, item quantity, things like that. Any kind of scarab would actually benefit this strategy. That's about it. If you have any type of questions about this, let me know. I will surely answer. But like I said, this might not be the best strategy for you because it can get pretty rippy. It can result in a lot of one-shots, so keep that in mind. All right, so another common request was to talk about the grafts. We don't really have that many choices in terms of grafts. I think that Violent Desire is the best in slot. Some of the roles that you would want on this one would be Chance to Impale because it gets you to almost 100% Chance to Impale, which is cool. Of course, Chance to Bleed might be decent. Things like increased attack speed, increased attack damage are all good rolls that you might get on this one. But either way, Violent Desire is the one that you would want to always be using. It boosts your Impale buff, so it's a really cool addition to the build. The second one is kind of optional. The one that I'm going for is Hard Flame. I still think this is probably the best one that we can use. Keep in mind that this does not stack with Molten Shell, so at this point I don't really have the socket places to socket in Molten Shell, so it's a welcomed addition to the build. But either way, I think it's one of the best ones that you can use. An alternative one would be the one with the tentacles. I forgot the name, but the tentacles that deal physical damage. Those aren't really that useful, especially in late game, because they don't really scale that well, but still something you can use if you don't want to use Heart of Flame. If you are using the tentacle version, I would recommend that you focus more on the buffs that it actually gives, like attack damage, attack speed, things like that, instead of the tentacles themselves, because they, even though they do some damage, they won't really add that much to the build. Yeah, that's about it for the graphs. I don't really think we have any other options. If you're using some kind of graph that I haven't thought about, let me know. All right, so now time for the fun stuff, the upgrades. I'm sorry, but it seems that my voice is cracking up a bit, so I apologize for that. So, in terms of the upgrades, first of all, the skill tree looks something like this. You may notice that it's quite different from the skill tree that you saw on day 2, and that is mainly to fit in the new jewels that I got. Those are Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh, as well as the Light of Meaning, Unnatural Instinct. This is the skill tree that I have had to go through, and I also got some split personalities, but I will talk about them in a bit. So this is the skill tree that I had to use to fit all of these in. Unfortunately, I kind of rushed it and I did this at level 92, and it was a bit scuffed because I didn't have enough points to take all the necessary nodes. But this is mainly how it looks like. I don't recommend you go for this until you're like 95, but anyway, so like I said, it's kind of scuffed. I had to enchant block on my armor to get block capped. I am block capped now, and also I had to socket in fortify support instead of brutality. That sucks because I'm leaving some damage on the table, and of course I'm also giving up that awesome AoE that Pulverize gives. But for now I will use this. Eventually I will probably go back to the fortify nodes so that I can Pulverize, because it's a really awesome gem, and it's sad not to use it. So in terms of the jewels, if you only have Forbidden Flame and Flesh, you generally want to path over this way to grab the Frenzy nodes. This skill trust cluster over here is only required when you actually have the Light of Meaning and the Unnatural Instinct. Unnatural Instinct is a great value for socket slot. It gives a lot of very cool buffs, as you can see over here, a lot of resistances, some damage, attack speed, strength, dexterity, a lot of cool stuff. And also, because we are using Light of Meaning, it also gives 142 increased physical damage. We also get these nodes with physical damage. So in total, I think the Light of Meaning grants us around 170 increased physical damage, and that's why it's so awesome. Yeah, so when you get these, you will want to path this way or this way to ensure that you get the bonuses for all of them. Also, you will want to be using some split personalities at this point. The ones that I got are with armor, simply because they are the cheapest. The best in slot ones will be either life ones or intelligence, because with intelligence you will also be benefiting from the increased damage per 5 of your lower attributes when you eventually go for that. So yeah, that's it. Also, when you're specking out of this side of the tree, you will lose the endurance charge generation, but it's not a problem because this is actually not a very good endurance charge. It's not very sustainable or reliable for that matter. So what you want to do is actually to buy or make one yourself, a medium cluster jewel that has enduring focus. This gives you endurance charges while you're channeling, so it's a much more sustainable way to get your brutal charges. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the tree. I hope I didn't leave out anything. Let me know if you have any kinds of questions. All right, so as always, I will also be including some tips and tricks regarding items and gameplay. So first of all, we're going to talk about the Felborn Devotos. The Felborn Devotos is a very cool option. It actually replaces the movement speed that you would get from a normal Devotos with increased attack speed, and that can be really, really valuable, especially early when you don't have that much damage. At that point, you probably want to trade 20% increased attack speed for the movement speed. But that's also really valuable for places when you don't really move as much. Like, for example, I'm using it in Simulacrum. It's a valid choice there. But when you get good gear, and especially when mapping, usually I think that increased movement speed is a better option, because in maps you don't really need that extra damage anyway, so you probably want to move faster through them. So yeah, keep in mind, Felborn Devotos, they go for around 3 chaos, maybe down to 1 chaos at this point. Really cheap because they are really, really common. Um, Another good item I want to talk about is the magnet. I've had a lot of questions from people what gear they should be using if they can't yet afford a pair of Relicash boots. And the answer for this is, for the belt, you absolutely want to be using a magnet belt. It's a really, really solid belt, and it's really dirt cheap at the moment. They go for around 3 chaos, so you should be absolutely going for one. It's one of the best belts you can equip. But keep in mind that if you are using a magnet, you want to check that you have a source of intimidation. Probably you should be using the rage one, but I think it's mostly your choice. So another cool tip is, if you ever find yourself in a map with no leech, don't exit it. It's not bricked. You can simply replace one of your red gems, like Pulverize, with Life Ungained from the sword, and run the map. You will have absolutely no issue clearing it. That way you can assure that you'll never use the map, and actually this way you can run absolutely any mod except for the Reflect one, which you will have to spec into if you want to run blind maps. So for the future upgrades, I will most likely be trying to get a better armor. I've been using this one since day one. It's a 70 chaos armor, so I think it's about time I replaced it. I will most likely be going for a double influence one, maybe double awakened, depending on what the cost for it is. I have included a guide about how to make it in my old video, as well as the POB, but I will also be showcasing how I make mine, so stay tuned for that video. I will also be trying to get a better ring. I'm still using Le Hoop of All. I'm kind of stuck to this one because of all the juicy elemental resistances I get from it, but it shouldn't be that hard to replace it with a better rare ring at this point, so it's something I might look into it. Some solid ring options will be either vulnerability on hit, increased dexterity, synthesized, maybe even an unset ring for the extra gem socket. A lot of very cool options for the ring slot, so I will have to see what I sell for. So yeah, a thing to keep in mind is that I still haven't seen any breach mod armors on the market. I don't know if they actually still drop. I imagine that you can still get them by trading the breach rings like you did before, but I'm not really sure if you have to trade specific breach rings or if it actually works for that reason, because I haven't really researched this. I think there's quite a high possibility that it's still obtainable, but we'll just have to see. For now, a double influence armor will be just as good, so I'm not really worried about that. So yeah, that's about it in terms of future upgrades. If the currency still is still pouring, I might look into maybe getting a headhunter at some point, but I'm not really sure. For now, I will just settle for a better armor and a better ring. That's about it. So that's about it for the day 3 update. As always, if you have any kind of questions, drop a comment and I will do my best to answer them. I also recommend that you join our Discord channel, because we do have a lot of helpful people over there. If you have any topics that you would like me to talk about in the next video, also let me know. In the next video, I will most likely be covering the armor crafting part. that will either be today or tomorrow, so day 4 or day 5, depending on how the armor craft goes. If you enjoy these update videos, please let me know in the comments, and also don't forget to leave a like. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.